In this session, I'll be talking about wisdom of the organization as part of the measure phase within an integrated enterprise excellence DMAIC roadmap. So at the end of this session, you'll be able to understand the tools involved with getting knowledge from the workforce. That's what I call wisdom of the organization. Tools that we'll be focusing on is flowcharts, brainstorming, cause and effect matrix, and FMEA. So the application of these techniques is that you want to be able to utilize information that's available in the workforce, basically the knowledge of the workforce. So we're not really trying at this point in time use data to go in and confirm or negate some of the theories that we might have, but we like to collectively put all together our theories, and then later when we get to the analyze phase, we'll be testing those hypotheses. If they are valid, or we think they're valid, then that can provide us insight to what we might want to do to improve our process. So again, where I put the tools within the overall DMAIC roadmap was to be consistent with what GE did in 1999. So GE had flow charting, cause and effect diagram, cause and effect matrix, FMEA under the measure phase. I didn't think those were really measurement tools, so I collectively called them wisdom of the organization tools and put them under the measure phase of the overall roadmap. From this, we can maybe even get some low-hanging fruit, and we can just make the change without analyzing it all. And proof of the pudding that we made a difference is the 30,000-foot level metric moved to an enhanced level of performance. The drill down of the wisdom of the organization is shown here, and it lists a lot of the methodologies that I talked about previously, but this basically puts together in a flowchart format some of the types of things that I expect to that should be addressed within wisdom of the organization. So this graphic basically describes the 4 different categories of wisdom of the organization tools that I'm going to be covering. One of the tools within wisdom of the organization is process flow charting. So process flow charting is to describe what actually happens within a process. Now I like to also include with this, we could have documentations, we could have websites that we may reference to. So we don't necessarily have to put everything in the flowchart fashion to create and illustrate our standard operating procedures. Another thing is we can get together with a team and also people knowledgeable of the process and look at what we're actually trying to impact, the effect, and what might be driving that. So we can go in and do this several different ways. What is shown here is a fishbone diagram. But there's several different ways of actually doing it. When you're actually conducting these sessions, it's important to get it so that the introverts as well as the extroverts are participating. And one of the advantages of the fishbowl diagram, you're structurally asking questions relative to various categories that could actually impact the overall output of a process. Cause and effect matrix is used to give some sort of categorization of the various ideas that could come up during a brainstorming session. We might have outputs that we're trying to impact, and those are represented across the top, and they can have different weights associated with them. And we have also down the Y direction, down the page, we have various ideas that people came up with, and we could then determine and assess or what we believe is the impact that each of these variables might have on the output. And again, I suggest that you look into the book to to go in and get more details about all these techniques that we're talking about. FMEA is a method to further develop high-level causes to provide actionable lists. So this is what a cause and effect or a failure mode effect analysis looked like, and we have various categorizations that we might have, and then we have sign severity, the likelihood of occurrence, and the likelihood of detecting it. In the end result, we get a risk priority number, or RPM, and we then can look at all these different areas that we have risk and assign some sort of prioritizations. The one that has the biggest risk, then we can go in and decide what actions need to be taken to address that risk. So we got some other tools within the overall wisdom of the organization, benchmarking, and force field analysis, and so on, that can be looked into in this particular chapter. Now, I just want to highlight again that each one of these, in the back of the book, I have check sheets for each one of these phases. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about all the different tools that when we go through each of these phase drill downs. So in summary, we talked about flow charting, brainstorming, and cause-effect analysis, cause-effect matrix, and FMEA.